Donald Trump has spent years criticizing European NATO allies as free riders who drain American resources while refusing to build their own military capacity. The U.S.-Iran war just proved his thesis flawlessly. The U.S. just burned through an estimated $5.6 billion in 48 hours to degrade Iran's military and protect the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, economic giants like Germany and France are completely absent from the battlefield, perfectly content to let the American taxpayer fund the security of the global economy. The irony is suffocating. After cutting off Russian gas over the Ukraine war, Europe is deeply dependent on liquefied natural gas from the Middle East. If Iran successfully mines or blockades the Strait of Hormuz, the European economy will freeze in the dark. Yet the NATO fleets are nowhere to be found in the Persian Gulf. They expect the U.S. Navy and the IDF to do the dirty work of neutralizing the IRGC, all while Paris and Berlin quietly profit from the newly secured shipping lanes. Even America's supposedly closest ally, the UK, has abandoned the offensive line. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has explicitly limited Britain's involvement to purely defensive measures, terrified of political backlash at home and Iranian terror proxies in London. When the alliance's strongest European member refuses to stand shoulder to shoulder in offensive decapitation strikes against a regime that actively arms Russia and the Houthis, the very concept of a unified Western front collapses entirely. While American and Israeli pilots are dodging hypersonic missiles, Brussels is still clinging to the ghost of diplomacy. European leaders have spent the last decade desperately trying to salvage the defunct JCPOA nuclear deal, actively attempting to bypass U.S. sanctions to keep trading with Tehran. Now, even as Iran's proxy network threatens global stability, European NATO capitals are issuing weak statements urging restraint on both sides, a cowardly false equivalence that equates U.S. defense with IRGC terrorism. By refusing to step up and share the financial and logistical burden of the Iran war, NATO is actually engineering its own vulnerability. The U.S. is rapidly depleting its stockpiles of $4 million Patriot interceptors and $12 million THAT missiles to shoot down $20,000 Iranian drones. If Washington burns through its advanced interceptors in the Middle East because Europe won't help, the U.S. will have no defensive umbrella left to shield Eastern Europe from Vladimir Putin. This war has exposed a humiliating mechanical truth. European NATO doesn't just lack the political will, they lack the actual military hardware. Decades of underfunding their militaries, failing to meet Trump's baseline demand of spending 2% of GDP on defense, means countries like Germany and Italy physically do not possess the aircraft carriers, long-range stealth bombers, or logistical supply chains required to project power into the Middle East. They are entirely dependent on Washington's logistics. Trump's transactional skeptical view of NATO was heavily criticized by the Western media establishment as a threat to global security, but Operation Epic Fury has laid the truth bare. NATO is a one-way street. It is an alliance designed exclusively to protect European borders with American blood and treasure. When the threat shifts to the Middle East, the Indo-Pacific, or the global supply chain, Article 5 is practically meaningless. Trump was right. The alliance in its current form is functionally obsolete for America's modern wars.